we move on to do a preview of tomorrow Conmebol World Cup qualifiers, and we have this. Ooh, let's just go in order in terms of kickoff times. First game, Colombia taking on Chile. Now, Colombia, they want to bounce back from that loss that they suffered away to Bolivia. Now being back into their own, the comfort of their own home, playing at the Metropolitano Roberto Melendez Metropolitano Stadium in Barranquilla in front of 46,000 Colombians. Um, you know, this game will also be played at 3:30, similar time that they played when they played Argentina. So expect the game to be hot, to be very, very, a difficult thing for the Chilean players to deal with. And look, Chile is sitting on the bottom of Conmebol World Cup qualifiers for a reason. They're an old team that lacks the quality to compete in these sort of games. I think how old that they are and the issue with their legs is going to be even a bigger issue going up against this young, energetic, high-intensity Colombian team playing at home, feeding off the ground, and also the heat, playing a factor on these old Chilean players, the fatigue there. This should be as smooth sailing as Colombia gets. They're gonna be hungry. They just had their massive unbeaten streak snapped from Bolivia. So yeah, I fully expect them to go into this and dismantle Chile and just show why that they are why they are have had why they're currently sitting second place in CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers. So yeah. Paraguay take on Venezuela. This is a team. This is two teams that are very, very tight. There's only 1 point between them two. One sitting seventh, one sitting eighth. These sort of games between the Venezuelas, the Paraguays, the Ecuadors, the Bolivias, they're all tight in there. They're all combined with 2 points. So every one of these results is extra, extra crucial. Paraguay playing this game as home as well. They're going to be a little bit more desperate, because they want to defend every point. In these qualifying games, you're always wanting to protect home and trying to get what you can away. So obviously Paraguay is going to be a little bit more desperate to get this result. Venezuela, they took advantage of their home and got that draw against Argentina in that given atmosphere with the sloppy grounds and all that. This, in my opinion, is going to be a little bit different with them going away. And it's hard to lean either way. I think both teams are at a similar level, but Venezuela, I think they're gonna be defensively very, very solid. There is quality in Paraguay with Julio Enciso, with the pace of Miguel Almiron to cause Venezuela trouble, but I think they're going to be tight. They're primarily going to play in transition, take advantage of set pieces when they come with a big man like Solomon Rondon, really play off him to try to get out, to try to, quiet down the ground as well. I think his, Solomon Rondon's hold-up play is going to be a big, big part of this game. And honestly, by the way, Solomon Rondon, a legend. He's been doing this for such a long time now, age 35. If you're a Premier League fan, you know him from his days at West Brom, and then he also had a season actually at Everton a little bit later on. No, he had a season at Newcastle and then had a season with Everton a little bit later on after that. Looking forward to that one. You have the likes of you have Uruguay taking on Ecuador. In my opinion, this is the game that probably has the most quality when you look at both teams. I think Ecuador has been pretty underwhelming in this qualifiers. Because, look, I always go back to what I saw from them at the 2022 World Cup. They played some excellent high-flying football, and they were disappointing to me at the Copa America because I didn't see that football being managed by a different manager. Now they got rid of Felix Sanchez and they brought in the likes of Sebastian Becacci, I don't know how to say that, or Becacci, I don't know how to say it. Sebastian Becacci, who was managing at Elche this past season, and he's kind of tried to turn around the fortunes for Ecuador. which is which been so far okay. They lost to Brazil and then they beat Peru and then drew to Paraguay. So now going up against a Uruguayan team coming off a very disappointing result. Uruguay, they need to start building some momentum because lately, they've not been great. I believe they're winless in their last 6 or something like that. Uruguay is a lot of draws there. They lost to one of the worst teams in Conmebol in Peru, but in the last 4 games they're winless. In the last 7 games, they haven't won a single game within within the actual game. They won a few games in penalty shootout against Brazil and Canada, but in those last 7 games, they haven't really won the game within the duration of the game. So it's something that is a little bit of concern. We know what's going on with the Bielsa, issues there as well, and it's something that they need to get a result to quiet that down. In my opinion, Argentina take on Bolivia. Now this is a Bolivia team coming extra hot in the fact that they've won their last 3 qualifiers. They've won their last 3 qualifying games against Venezuela. Where they defeated them 4-0. They were able to defeat the likes of Chile as well. And the impressive part about them defeating Chile is that they did that away at Chile. And they did it in a pragmatic way where Chile dominated that game, but they got the 2 goals. They were clinical, and then they beat Colombia at home, playing the majority of the game with down to 10 men. They got that victory. Now they take on the likes of Argentina away, and they've had a good run. Now they have 12 points. They're sitting currently in 6th place, which is automatic spot into the World Cup if it ended today. But look, Bolivia sitting 6th, but talent-wise, they're probably the worst team in Conmebol. And in 3 of their wins so far, this campaign, they took advantage of having that not amazing atmosphere per se, but the amazing advantage of playing in altitude that makes it very difficult for teams going in. Now going away to the Monumental in Buenos Aires with 85,000, Argentinians, Bolivia, they're gonna get suffocated in this one. I think Argentina are gonna win this game and win this game comfortably just because the quality is just much different, and there is no altitude to play into the favor of the Bolivians here. So I think that takes away majority of what their chances are to do, in this game. Brazil take on Peru. Again, another must-win for Brazil, a Brazilian team that's looked a shell of themselves over the last few years or so. This is probably their last game that they'll be playing without Neymar. We'll discuss this in the next segment with some of the top headlines. He's looking like he's going to be back really, really soon, and that means more than likely he'll be available in that November window. So if you're Brazil, you just need to get the result here. They've looked really, really bad. Even in the wins that they've had, they haven't really looked the most forward-thinking team. Haven't created much clear-cut opportunities. Don't look like the Brazilian teams in the past. Look, you're taking on the team that is currently sitting second to last place in Conmebol World Cup qualifiers, and they're there by a margin. Honestly, they're not anywhere near the likes of the Paraguay, Venezuela, Bolivia's, and Ecuador's. Brazil is not even that far above them. They're only a point above the Ecuador and Bolivia's. Brazil sitting after 9 games, Brazil only have 1 point ahead of Bolivia. That just tells you, that just tells a story right there. So massive for Brazil to get the result against Peru.